Hey everyone, welcome to another session of CeerazzleDazzle Physics. In today's session we're going to be talking about the law of reflection. Okay, so what is the law of reflection? First of all, let's start to draw a mirror. So hopefully we all know that in a mirror we can see our own reflection. In physics, they draw a mirror by simply having a straight line and having these dashes all across it. So if you ever see this in any kind of textbook, that means it's a mirror. So what happens then if I shine a ray of light into the mirror? So we're going to shine a ray of light, it's going to go this way. So the ray of light is going to go into the mirror. What's going to happen is as it travels and hits the mirror, it will be reflected off the mirror. So it gets reflected off the mirror here. The ray of light which comes in is called the incident ray. The ray of light which is coming out is called the reflected ray. There is an imaginary line between them which separates them equally. This is called the normal. So here is the normal. Right, use a bit of logic. And there's also, oh wait a minute, there's an angle. There's an angle over here. This angle is called the angle of incidence. This angle from the normal out, so let's call this I actually, the angle of incidence. From the normal out to the reflected ray, this is called the angle of reflection. This is the angle of reflection. Right, so simple stuff. What do you think happens as I increase the angle of incidence? So let's say I start off at the normal and I keep increasing the angle of incidence. What do you think happens to the angle of reflection? You're right, as the angle of incidence increases, the angle of reflection increases equally. So let's just put that down a little table. Imagine how I have a table of I against R. So I against R, here's my table of results. Let's put that down over here. Let's go. When I is 0, my angle of reflection is 0 also. My angle of incidence is 10, it's 10 also. If it's 20, it's 20 also. We clearly know that for reflection to occur, this is called the law of reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Let's put that down. So, the law of reflection states that the angle of incidence will be equal to, well, I don't know, let's rub that out here. The law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Very nice. And that is a fundamental rule in terms of reflection. Surely we should know that. I can see myself in the mirror because the light hits the mirror and comes back at me, and the angles are always the same. So that is the law of reflection, that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Right, now memorize that diagram because we need it for the next diagram. So how do we see images inside a mirror? So let's say right now we have the following setup. This is your eyeball, this is your eye. Here is your eye, and let's say you want to look at this object through the mirror. So you're looking into the mirror now to find the object. Where will the object be? You've got to construct a ray diagram. How you do it is a little bit tricky, possibly the most trickiest diagram in the actual GCSE. You start from the top of the object, you draw a line hitting the mirror. There we go. Then you take that same line and then you reflect it off into the top part of your eye. Okay, so let's draw some arrows. The light's going from the object into your eye. You take another ray and it goes from the top of the object and hits the mirror also. There we go. Then that reflects off, obeying the law of reflection. Whoops, let's go. Into my eye. It's really difficult on this touchpad. Now, then I'm going to extrapolate both of those lines backwards to find out where the image will be formed. So extrapolating this line backwards. Really difficult, guys. I know it's a bit jittery, but don't worry. Here we go. Might have to do it on paper. There we go, extrapolate this line backwards. And if I extrapolate the other line backwards as well, obviously take care when you're doing this in the GCSE, we can see they both meet up. And the point where they meet up, this is where the image is formed. So it's not the perfect diagram here. I'll probably have to do this same lesson again using paper. This is the image. So step number 1, you draw the lines, 2 lines from the object, traveling, hitting the mirror, going into the eye. Then you extrapolate the lines back. Where the 2 lines meet, that's where the image is formed. And that's how we look at images within a mirror. Right, now to summarize. Let's go for the summary. So, summary. Let's highlight the key words. Summary. The law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. The normal is an imaginary line drawn perpendicular from the mirror. So look here in this diagram. The normal over here is perpendicular to the mirror. The ray that hits the mirror is called the incident ray. The ray that reflects off the mirror is called, didn't finish that, is called, can't spell, is called the reflected ray. We know that for the law of reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. That's always true. And also we have the diagram to how we see a mirror. I'm not going to copy that out again, which looks like this. Yes, so this is how you actually look at images within a mirror. You extrapolate the lines backwards once you've drawn them being reflected off the mirror from the object into the eye. It's a little bit tricky, I'm not going to lie. Spend some time going over this. Get a ruler out when you're doing this because it is tricky. And practice it using a ruler, taking some time for you to draw this ray diagram. And that's it for today. I shall see you next time for more GCSE physics. Goodbye.